47 frozen bodies drifted in the dark, and every single face was mine. The same scar above the left eyebrow, the same crooked jaw. I counted them twice, floating between the rows, my breath fogging the visor. And then I found the one that was still warm. The signal had found me 11 hours earlier, a thin, repeating pulse, low and patient, the kind a lifeboat broadcasts when its crew has stopped answering. I was a salvage courier, alone, 3 months from anywhere. I should have logged it and flown on. I didn't. I matched velocity with the drifting pod, killed my engines, and let the two hulls kiss. The clunk came up through my boots, not the air. There is no sound out here. A green light, a seal, a door I had no business opening. Inside, the cold hit first. The pod's heaters had died long ago. My lamp threw a shaking circle across walls furred with frost. Cables hung slack. And then the beam caught a face behind glass, and my heart simply stopped. It was me, asleep, peaceful. I told myself it was a trick of exhaustion, a reflection, anything. Then the beam slid to the next pod, me again, and the next. Row upon row of my own closed eyes, receding into the dark like a hall of mirrors. I moved down the line, touching each cold pane, 46 of them, dark and silent. Their power cells long dead, their sleepers cooled to the temperature of the void, vitrified, not frozen. The readout said stasis, glass still, no crystals, no decay, just waiting for nothing. 46 cold, but the 47th pod glowed, a soft amber panel, a trickle of power still feeding it. And when I laid my glove against its surface, I felt it through 3 layers of insulation. Warmth, faint, human, impossible. Because warmth is a clock. A body sheds heat hour by hour until it matches the cold around it. Out here, with no air to carry it away, that takes a long, slow while. But not this long. This pod had been alive recently. Days, maybe hours. I braced against a strut and tried to think like a salvager, not a ghost. Who was I? Ilsa Vance, contract pilot. One body, one name, flying a route I'd flown 100 times. So how could there be 47 of me sleeping in a lifeboat I'd never seen? The pod's console still held a log. I wiped the frost and read. A colony transport, a failing drive, and a decision, made a very long time ago, that made my skin crawl. They had been out of options, so they'd used the ship's medical fabricator to grow crew, copies from a single donor genome. Mine, grown, taught, sealed in stasis, one after another, to outlast a voyage no single lifetime could survive. 47 attempts, 47 me's, each meant to wake at journey's end and finish the mission. But the transport never arrived. The lifeboat launched. The batteries drained, one pod at a time, and the sleepers went cold in the order they were made. I stood among my own dead faces and understood something worse than fear. They shared my genome, not my memories, not my 17 years hauling freight, not my mother, not the scar I'd earned falling off a gantry at 9. Same clay, different souls. They weren't backups of me. They were strangers wearing my face, each one a person who had lived, briefly, thought their own thoughts, and slept without ever knowing the others existed. And one of them, the last one, was still warm. I pulled myself to the amber pod. The readout scrolled, core temperature falling, but slowly. Neural activity, a flat line, then a flicker. Then another. Something in there was surfacing, rising toward the surface, of waking like a diver out of deep water. I should have run. I stayed. I scraped the frost from the glass with my glove, and a face looked back. My face, but thinner, younger, lips moving, eyes rolling behind thin lids. Alive. Actually, impossibly alive. The pod hissed. A seal cracked. Vapor curled out and the lid lifted, and she opened her eyes and looked straight at me. The only 2 waking copies in a tomb of 45. She tried to speak. No air carries a whisper in a pod that cold. So she raised one shaking hand and pressed it flat against mine, glove to bare palm, and mouthed 3 words I read as clearly as if she'd shouted them. Not, help me. Not, who are you? She mouthed. You're one too. And the floor dropped out of me, because I had never questioned it. My name, my mother, the gantry at 9. How did I know those were mine, and not a story printed into me at the fabricator, the same as hers. I turned my lamp down the row, past the 45, to the far end of the pod. There was one more cradle there, number 48. Its glass was open. Its stasis gel was empty, and its shape was exactly the size of me, the last empty pod, the one that had opened most recently of all, the one whose warmth I'd felt the moment I stepped aboard and mistaken for hers. I looked at my own hands and could not remember, truly remember, docking my ship. She watched me piece it together. She wasn't the survivor calling for rescue. I was the one who'd woken, climbed out, told myself a life, and answered a signal I had been broadcasting all along, from the inside. I could seal her pod and save her. I could leave and be the one who lived. Or I could stay and admit that neither of us was more real than the 45 sleeping around us. I reached for the amber panel. My hand was shaking. It was warm. I never decided. Or I decided so long ago it no longer feels like mine. The beacon is still transmitting, thin and patient, out into the dark. Somewhere a ship will hear it and dock, and find 47 frozen sleepers, and one still warm. If every one of them was me, then which one am I? And which one is still warm?